Hi, this is EDL 850 case study, Internet Use Violations. First of all, we're going to look at the problem from two sides. Dr. Forbes has two problems here, not one. He has an ineffective teacher, Ms. Walker, and he has the Internet Use Violation, which, in my opinion, the ineffective teacher may be the underlying reason for the Internet Use Violation. So, in my opinion, we need to deal with both situations concurrently. First, the things we know. RHS is a reputable school in an affluent area of a large city. Parents in this area are financially secure, having stately homes and high-paying jobs. Dr. Forbes has been the principal there for about 9 years. He was awarded Principal of the Year 2 years ago. He is proud of his school's highly regarded reputation. He only hires highly qualified teachers, and he has steadily been receiving complaints on his newly hired teacher, Ms. Walker. Things we still need to know. Why are these parents complaining about the concerns for first-time low grades? Is Dr. Forbes so focused on maintaining his reputation that he doesn't want to challenge these powers that be? What are Ms. Walker's degrees in? Teaching or science? If her degree is in science, has she ever done student teaching? Does she have a mentor teacher? And what types of professional developments have been offered for her? Next, we're going to identify the problems on this side of the case. Dr. Forbes is receiving complaints from Ms. Walker. Next, Ms. Walker is qualified, but she is ineffective in her classroom. She is strict and has not been successful in creating these rewarding relationships with her students. And lastly, the students in her class seem to be disrespectful and disruptive, and that came from Ms. Walker, not Dr. Forbes. The other side of this situation is the concern about the website. The things we know on this end of the spectrum. Ms. Walker is a second-year teacher. She has her graduate degree as well as having completed a full year of postgrad work. She's been hired to teach at RHS at what appears to be honor science classes. Ms. Walker is unmarried with no children. She is late one night received an email with a link to a threatening web page concerning her. She immediately calls her boss, Dr. Forbes, and expresses her concern for her own safety. She sends the link to Dr. Forbes, and he then views the page and tells her that he will discuss it further with her in the morning. Things we need to know about this situation. Is she an open mind or fixed mind person? What are her degrees in again? Are they education or science? What strategies have been already employed to help her connect with her students? Does she have a mentor teacher? And if so, are they effective? Has she received similar emails before? If she has, have they remained unopened, or has she just not notified anybody? Does she have a victim's mentality? The problems that I have identified on this end of the case is she is ineffective, and this threatens the reputation of the school and some of those highly affluent students. Ms. Walker receives this email that links her to her threatening webpage. Dr. Forbes seems to have brushed these concerns off about her safety before ever having viewed this webpage by stating, "I can understand your concerns, but I sincerely believe that this email and webpage is a prank." How would he know that? He's not even seen it yet. So first, my proposed action plan concerning Ms. Walker would be we will formally evaluate her. Then we will have a follow-up meeting. We will schedule professional development, and then we will have a secondary evaluation to monitor her progress. The strategies of implementation here would be we'll formally evaluate her during each of her subjects, not one class, all classes. We don't want a snapshot. We want to make sure that she's not just having a problem with a couple students. We want to make sure that she's not a highly ineffective teacher. To do this, you need to see the full scope, not just a little snapshot. Number 2, we need to meet with Ms. Walker and work on next steps with her for her professional development. We need to continue to support her. Number 3, we need to discuss with her the parents' concerns that have been voiced already. Number 4, we need to talk with her on the effectiveness of her mentor teacher. If she doesn't have one, this is the time to get one assigned. Number 5, we need to discuss with her the need for those good relationships with her students. Number 6, we need to schedule shadowing for her with a teacher that would be a good exemplar, not one that just volunteers, but a good exemplar. Number 7, we need to schedule follow-up evaluations in a timely manner. That way we can make sure she is applying this new information that she has learned from her professional developments, her shadowing, as well as her mentoring. The proposed action plan for the other side of this case would be concerning the website. First of all, as soon as I hung that phone up with Ms. Walker, I would be contacting my technology director. Second of all, I would interview and update Ms. Walker as soon as possible or the next day. Number 3, I would interview all students, not just the one that she has targeted. Number 4, I would have an all-school assembly. And number 5, I would take appropriate disciplinary action when and where needed. The strategies for implementation on this side of the case would be: number 1, I would document my phone conversation as well as the initial contact with the site in question. Number 2, I would contact the technology director to see if we can track the source of the site and/or email. Number 3, I would re-interview Ms. Walker and probe deeper to see if we can find anything else that might be going on in her class to make herself a target, as well as find why she has identified one student in particular so easily. Before we let her go out of this conversation, I would then give her the findings from that technology director. Number 4, I would interview each of Ms. Walker's students individually, making sure to have a witness as well as documenting every conversation. That would be done to protect not only the students, but ourselves as well. Number 5, I would schedule an all-school assembly focusing on cyberbullying and harassment. I would invite guest speakers, possibly invite the police department to discuss the severity of these actions as well as the legal ramifications. Oh, sorry, I skipped one. I would, number 6, meet with my superintendent to discuss possible disciplinary measures as well as backlash. Number 7, I would take appropriate disciplinary measures for all who are involved in this malice act. If the students are in fact involved, I'm going to make sure that those parents are present and that they are at those meetings for disciplinary fightings as well as any pertinent conversations they need to be. Now we're ready for this slide. Resolve the issues based on success for all students. Well, first of all, I'm not going to assume anything. I would research, interview, and document only the facts in this case, not the accusations. I would take time to listen to everybody who was involved and their points of view and take them into consideration before a decision on a disciplinary action would be made. Number 2, I would continue to monitor Ms. Walker's growth area. Ms. Walker's areas of needed growth may have been the actual contributing factor to this attack. So we need to put it high on our priority list to make sure we keep track of her progress and growth or lack thereof. Keeping those lines of communication open. I would have a staff meeting about the importance of school-to-home connections, making sure that we as a staff are doing what we can to make sure these lines of communications are open and we are being supportive of the staff members as well as the students. Lastly, I would teach alternative coping mechanisms to the students. As all of us know as teachers, students who've not been taught proper coping mechanisms or proper coping skills can lash out in inappropriate manners. It is our job as a staff to make sure that these students understand not only that this behavior is wrong, but we have to make sure we equip them with the tools they need to be more successful if a similar situation should arise itself again. Debriefing the problem. What I think Ms. Walker does have reason to be concerned. I think Ms. Walker came up with a student's name to accuse pretty easily, and she might actually be targeting that student. I think that even strict teachers are well liked by their students and parents, so there's got to be other contributing factors. I think that students and staff need to make it a priority to revisit these policies on internet usage, cyberbullying, and on harassment. What I feel while she has a reason to be concerned, I think she may be blowing this into a death threat. That's an overreaction in my opinion. I feel sorry for both Ms. Walker and her students because this is clearly not a good fit for either parties involved. I'm feeling frustrated because a student and or adult created this web page intentionally and then sent Ms. Walker a link to it. This is intentional malice and this is not okay. And I also feel a sense of urgency to resolve the situation on both sides because it could go from bad to worse very easily. What I value. The first thing I value is the concerns of my students, their parents, and Ms. Walker. Next, I value what is best for my students. I value my capable staff. I value Ms. Walker's desire to have a deep rigor in her class. I value a positive school culture in which I can support my staff. And I lastly value a safe learning environment in which both my staff and my students can grow together without the fear of harassment or judgment. Unresolved issues. Well, the first unresolved issue I see here is that we don't know what the district's policy is on this form of harassment. The next unresolved issue is Miss Walker, Miss Walker really willing to grow to better herself for her students? The next three are kind of worked together. So who created the email? Was it sent by the same person who created the web page or another student? If it was created by, or if this email was sent by another student, was it sent in malice or was it sent anonymously to notify her of the page's existence? Next, what was on the actual web page? What were the threats? What were the comments? We have no idea, so we have no idea how severe this is. Number 7, what was the impact on Miss Walker? Is she still willing and comfortable enough to finish our school year, or has this impacted her in such a negative way that she's not going to be effective? The standard that we are dealing with today is the building level administrator is an educational leader who promotes the success of all students by acting with integrity, fairness, and in an ethical manner. I did this as a building level administrator by demonstrating my sense of integrity and an ethical behavior by listening, considering, and acting upon and valuing the concerns of the parents, the students, and the staff members. Not just looking at the action of cyberbullying or harassment, but also looking at those underlying causes. Also, I'm valuing and protecting both the students and the staff's interests. Treating people fairly, equitably, and with dignity and respect. First of all, investigating facts and not acting on assumptions or accusations. Next, by talking to students and staff confidentially, having a witness and keeping documentation to protect everybody who is involved. And lastly, working with teachers while she is trying to better herself and her teaching skills. Demonstrate a personal and professional code of ethics. First and foremost, keeping confidential. Only discuss the situation with your superintendent or the select few staff member who absolutely need to know. Use your findings to verify facts before you act. And lastly, I'm holding myself accountable. You've got to reflect on how you've dealt with this situation and how you might be able to better it in the future.